Hello, it's the old git here once again, here with my opinion, and I think now I'm fairly qualified on giving opinion. I'm in my 70th year, and I've seen a lot of things during that time, right through from the late 50s right through to today. Through the 60s and the 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, we've been there, done that, and bought the t-shirt. So I think I'm a bit qualified to see what's been going on and how bad things are getting and how stupid our society is getting to. I can't emphasise that enough. But today, just before I go into what I'm going to talk to you about, remember that my name is Michael. Seriously, I do run a TV station that's 24 hours a day. It's all retro TV. It's all from the past. It's all old films, and you've got old TV programs, your series, that kind of thing. Paint and Place, Dennis the Menace, that sort of stuff. And if you like to watch that kind of stuff, you can go and watch. It's free. And if you look at the bottom of the screen now, there it says www.bestbeforetv.com. You go there and watch it absolutely free of charge. And if you want to get in touch with me, then there it is, bestbeforetv@gmail.com. You can actually send me an email, and I would like to get some feedback on the things that we're going to be talking about today, because I feel that society is going down the tubes, spirally down the tubes, and our younger generation, when I look at them, the new generation of people coming through, if we have to rely on those people in the future, I think we're going to have a problem, because they seem to be able to invent something wrong with them, mental health. I mean, there is genuine cases of all this, and I'm not going to say anything bad about people who suffer from things genuinely, but a lot of these kids make excuses and for their behaviour. And I know if I could get away with it when I was a kid, I would have done, but we didn't know about it. We didn't know we could have this and that and whatever, and we could call it an illness and get away with murder. But that, I digress, because that's not really what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk about antisocial behaviour, and that's the thing that's really winding me up at the moment. But I'm going to do it in a two-pronged way, because I'm also looking at not only antisocial behaviour, but at knife crime. Now, knife crime is a very serious problem in the UK, as I see it, and I have a solution. I'm going to give you, at the end of this, I'm going to give you a solution, and you can laugh at it, but I reckon it would work, and it's my solution to solving the problem of this, mamby-pamby young generation that we're raising who have no pride or conscience, or they just they seem to be wasters. And I'm insulting them, yes I am, because they're insulting me. I've heard teenagers say things like, oh, old people, they just draw pension, they don't care, they get money for nothing, and we have to forget. People like me worked over 30 years to pay for your education, pay for you to go to the doctors, pay for you to have your dentistry done. We paid for that over 30 years, so you pay us back by paying us a pension. It's not a benefit, pension is a right. Okay, stop there. And what we're going to do is get into now. Antisocial behaviour at the moment is costing the government and other agencies in England and Wales around about £3.4 billion a year. Now that's a lot of money to spend on kids who are misbehaving and have no discipline, and I found it really bad. Now, the responsibility of dealing with antisocial behaviour falls between the police and local councils. And the police deal with the kids who are out on the street begging when they should be at school, or drinking alcohol in the street, and county lines, involvement in drug dealing, gangs drinking in parks and causing a nuisance, harassment and intimidation of people, not just old people but other people, even school teachers, which is sad because the teacher's there for them. Hoax calls and emergency services, and misuse of fireworks, prostitution, indecent behaviour, noise and vandalism. That's the police. And then of course the council deal with other things, you know, fly posting, graffiti, and fly tipping, and on wasteland, and stray dogs, and that kind of thing. Needles and syringes. Now, it's sad that people have to collect used needles and syringes out of the street, but that's that's what's going on now. That's how people are now, and they seem to have there's no consequences for the behaviour, or it doesn't seem to be. Let me see if I could just play you something, just to sort of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Now that's what I'm sort of talking about. That's what's really winding me up. That kind of behaviour and worse. So think on, and hopefully we can resolve it, or we can make things better. But the second part of this video is also to do with knife crime, as I said. Now, I'm going to quote something, and please do not consider me to be a racist of any kind, because this is worrying for me, as it would be of the parents of the kids I'm going to be talking about. Now, I'm going to just take London, because London's the figures I've been able to ascertain. Now, despite making up only 13% of London's total population, black Londoners account for 45% of London's knife murder victims. So 45% of the victims of crime, of knife crime, are black people, and mostly they're black kids. And they're also they're also perpetrators of 53% of knife crime. Now, it's very sad because those figures don't lie. That's absolutely true, and it's scary. And you know, I think what it is, why is it that people kick up about stop and search? Now, and I've got to say this before I get into this, because I found this really bad. That when I looked on the internet for people being stopped and searched, and you know, kids kicking off with the police, I noticed the police try to be quite good with them, the ones I've seen. But I'm going to say this: I didn't see many, or I couldn't find any videos of white kids being searched or white men being searched. I only saw black kids being searched. There's loads and loads and loads of videos showing that, and I think that's sad. So, is it the fact that black kids are targeted more than white kids? It probably is. It's probably the wrong kind of profiling, but that's the problem of the police. But what I did see is the kids kick off a lot. Now, I'm sure they get fed up of being stopped, 10 times a week. I'm sure I would. But the simplest thing for me, as I could see it, was like, all right, get on with it, do it, and they find nothing, thank you very much, and away you go, and you save yourself a lot of time and grief. But it never goes down like that from all the videos that I've seen. Now, I think, that a lot of parents of black, Asian and ethnic and even white kids should welcome stop and search, because it may save your child from making the biggest mistake of their life, or it may save your child from being murdered. And it's terrible. And when you look at the figures, there's more black on black killings. Now, it's probably gang related, I don't know. I mean, I don't live in England anymore, but for me, it's a very sad state of affairs. And these young kids have not seen any life. All that potential is gone. simply because they carry blades, simply because society is allowing it to go on. So for me, I think stop and search is a good thing, but I don't like the idea that it seems to be more black kids being stopped than white kids. As far as I can see, maybe I'm wrong, maybe there is videos, but I couldn't find many. But listen, what I say to the parents of the children who have been stopped and searched and do get angry, listen to this. If it doesn't detract from the fear of all parents getting that knock on the door, and it doesn't matter what race, colour or whatever you are, that knock on the door telling you that your child has been murdered or your child has just committed a murder. It destroys whole families, their lives. It's terrible. And this thing has to be dealt with, because it seems to me that it's not getting better, it's getting worse. The more I see reports, the more it seems to be going on. It seems that it's just natural for these kids to carry knives, and younger too. Now, I think I did go through and had a look at a few figures, and it says black people are 9 times more likely to be stopped and searched by police than white people. And those are official figures from England and Wales. And the data shows that they give the reason, the police give the reason for stopping and searching. 63% of the cases, the most common reason given is for justifying the stop and the search is to search for drugs. And the next most common reason is carrying of weapons. Okay? So what's the solution? Well, I think the solution, this is my solution now, I think the solution is national service, but not military national service. Oh no. Because I see a society now of giving no direction and no goals and no aspirations to the kids today. So I genuinely believe in a type of national service. It would be a blessing for the generation of young people who are addicted to social media, different types of things they do. I'd do sort of 16 weeks, the first 16 weeks, it'd be 2 years, and the first 16 weeks would be like physical and training and discipline, like they did in the military. Now that part would be like, they'd have to do 16 weeks of that, and making their bed and such like. I mean, they're suffering unrelated sort of anxiety, getting their knickers in a twist over their identity, how to make the best photo shot for their cover. So it's ridiculous that people worry so much about this. They're out there on Instagram and it's the biggest worry of their life. I'd love to see a regimental sergeant making sure that they've set out their kit and they're ready in the first 16 weeks. I mean, it must be horrible for the parents of these kids who have to crawl onto the bed and find his or her socks or dirty underwear there, all smelly, and they take away. They need discipline, and this is, with this type of national service, they would get it. Now, the teenagers are remarkably privileged compared to the healthy males aged between 17 and 21 who were called up for 18 months of service in the armed forces under the 1948 National Service Act. Yet, could we honestly claim they were happier or healthier? Just for the fun of it, I was thinking of putting this in now.
After World War II, in a rapidly changing world, young men were called up in Britain to become peacetime conscripts and do national service. Britain needed to increase its military manpower to garrison the empire which was not what it once was, occupy post-war Germany and Japan, and establish influence in the Middle East. Indian independence in 1947 also meant that Britain no longer had the Indian Army to make up the numbers of soldiers needed. The National Service Act was first approved in July 1947 for all able-bodied men aged 18 to 30. With the advent of the Cold War and the Malayan emergency, the Act was revised, and conscripts would serve for 18 months. But in 1950, in response to the Korean War in 1950 to 53, this was increased to 2 years. Once enlisted, the conscript would have a medical and get a haircut. They were then issued their equipment and ill-fitting battle dress uniform. During their free time, recruits polished their belt buckles and buttons, polished their boots, made their beds and cleaned their rifles. The NCO would lay down harsh discipline and inspect the recruits' barracks, uniform and equipment. If anything was out of place, then they would be shouted at with strict punishment to follow. Basic training consisted of drills to enforce obedience to commands and discipline, physical training, and weapons training. Troublemakers would be sent on exhausting cross-country marches, be made to wash latrines, or ordered to peel hundreds of potatoes, which was commonly referred to as spud bashing. Soldiers deployed into combat across the world were often facing guerrillas or civil war in Korea, Malaya, Suez, and Aden. From 1949 until 1963, 2 million men were called up to the armed forces, including the British Army, Royal Navy, and the Royal Air Force.
So there we are. So I got it all wrong, I'm sure, but you get the idea. That's what they would do for military service. But let's get to the solution. I mean, I'm trying to be a bit flippant and not be too serious. But my solution would be as follows. It would be as follows. And let me just stop this because it's all going wrong. I would, in actual fact, make all 16-year-olds, they would be required to do 2 years of non-military national service, unless they're doing a certified or monitored apprenticeship or degree course at a university. No exemption for any able-bodied male or female, because I think girls should do it too. And the first 16 weeks, as I mentioned before, should be dedicated totally to fitness and discipline and a military-style regime. Now, if you fail that first stage, we call that stage 1, you go back to the beginning and start again. So the incentive is to do it right the first time so that you can move on to the second stage. Once you reach the end of that stage, you receive your certificate, because everything that you do, you're certificated for, and they'll mean something. Okay, you move on to the stage 2, and after seeing a specialist case officer to help you decide what you would like to do as a job, and once this is agreed, stage 2 could begin, and this would be like a deployment to your specialist training camp for the job that you've chosen. The tutors for your profession will train you to the highest standard, and this will set you well on the road to the future. And the certification gained and merits gained during your service, because there's other aspects which I'm not going to go into, which can earn you more merits, and it'll all go down on your CV, and you'll be fully trained, certified in whatever job you chose to do. Now, that's what I think we should be doing. Now, also, during your time, you could be posted to real projects to get your work experience, and this could be in other countries. You could be helping other communities to build things, to whatever it is, engineering, whatever it is, of course, you're doing. It could be spent doing worthwhile work as you're learning, and also to get to see a bit of the world and how other people live. So I really do think that it would be a good idea, and nobody would be exempt, and everybody would come out with some kind of training and some kind of profession that they could follow and set them up for life and give them direction. Now, as far as I'm concerned, we need to put pride and honour back in the UK, and our greatest asset for this are our children, who see of today's youth, they have no pride, thus they have no respect. And as far as I'm concerned, this is not a very good thing for Britain and for its kids. Now, just for the fun of it, because I think it's a little bit serious, I'm going to show you a real basic training film from when people did national service. There'll be a few people out there who might even remember it, but if you did, great. If you didn't, you'll see what the old national service people had to do. Now, I'm going to try and start off. As I said, I'm getting used to some new software, and I know I'm making a few mock-ups about this, but I'm trying my best, and I'm sure I'll get used to it. So bear with me if it flickers onto another picture and whatever. I don't like to mess about. So we're gonna. This is the national service training regime that you would have done in the 40s and 50s. This one. Okay.
Like John Saunders here. He's been deferred for a few years to serve an apprenticeship, but now his time has come.
Hello, John. What are you looking so happy about?
Got notice on my medical, that's what. Going up next week.
Not to worry. So have I, and I'm married. Even that doesn't get me off.
What does Mary think about it?
Not too keen, of course.
You've got to do it, so you may as well get something out of it. Well, come on, lads. It's time we were on shift.
Well, that's roughly the attitude of most of the boys. Let's make the best of it. Some are eager to go, but for others, married men or those with dependents, the sacrifice is greater. John turns up at the allocation center for his medical, one of the many drawn with equal impartiality from all sections of the community. There's some form filling, of course, details of medical history, previous jobs, and education. This will help to show where he can best be used. Some are a bit nervous, but they needn't be. Swift and efficient, the procedure is not at all inhuman. John Saunders is fit all right. Now it's his turn to see the military interviewing officer. He says he'd like to be an RASC driver, but so do thousands of others. Let's see then what happens to him. One fine day, a few weeks later, John arrives from the station, sharing with a few others the carriage thoughtfully put at his disposal by the Army. Posted to the 68th Training Regiment, Royal Armoured Corps. There are no tanks about as they arrive. They'll see plenty of them later, though. First things first. The Army takes hold of the new arrivals firmly and with the ease of long practice. The barrack rooms are, well, all right. Not quite like home, but they'll do. The Army, like all the other services, handles its new intake intelligently. If a man's to give of his best, his attitude of mind towards his new life is important. First, the simple things that are necessary to make the close-knit Army life tolerable for all. Uniform and tidiness of personal kit. Now for something about the history and achievements of the Corps they've joined, so that they can begin to be proud of it. And a word about why they're here. Next, the personnel selection officer puts them through a series of tests to find out which job each man is best fitted for. John discusses his future with the PSO, who makes his recommendations. Then the 5 weeks general military training begins. On the parade ground, the sergeant takes over. They've heard from the squadron officers and the CO. They know why they're here and what to do about their family worries, if any. But now, he says, you're going to listen to me.
Squad, squad up. Move to the left in threes. Left, top. Right to right. Quick, forward.
So begins the first stage. 5 tough, packed weeks in which to lay the foundations of discipline, basic knowledge, and fitness on which all else is built.
Over our numbers. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Now I present. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1.
The difference in these men in a short 5 weeks is quite astounding. Upright and alert, they're beginning to acquire a new self-confidence. Here at the passing out parade, they prove themselves ready for the second stage, the technical training. Well, perhaps not quite ready. The passing out parade must be celebrated first.
Same again, Jim.
Come on, talk.
So there we go. I thought that would be a little bit of fun, just to lighten the load. I hope you enjoyed listening to what I got to say today. I certainly enjoyed doing it, and think on. The kids are the future. It's been said many times before, but it seems that everybody seems to have forgotten it. And I'll be back with more things that are driving me crazy or that I have an opinion on. And I said before, I think I'm qualified to have an opinion. I'm an old man. I can say what I like. Don't forget, come and watch the TV station, support it, have a look at it, it's free. All you have to do is, if you want to watch it, is go to www.bestbeforetv.com, and I'll be there it will be with all the programmes on that you can watch. I mean, today, this afternoon, we do on a Sunday, we do a thing called a Sunday binge, which is when we were kids. Maybe a lot of younger people won't know, but when we were kids, we used to go to the cinema on a Saturday morning and sing the song, and there would be what they called cliffhangers, you know, Dick Tracy or something like that, where they'd always leave it so you had to come back the following Saturday to see what happens next. And they were usually in episodes of about, I don't know, 17 to 20 minutes each one before the main feature. And we used to love it. And so what I do on a Sunday, I do a Sunday binge, and I take one of those series and I play them all together, the whole lot. They usually take about between 3 and 4 hours. So the Sunday binge on a Sunday with one of those cinema series that we used to watch when we were kids, from the start to the end one, is what we do on a Sunday, and other things too. Anyway, thanks for listening, thanks for your support, and you can subscribe and get more videos from the old git, which is me, and I'll be seeing you. Alright, take care.